Antonio's father, Eddie Brown, who said, quote, "If everybody's coming at you with so many directions, requiring so much of you, there comes a point where you can't take a deep breath and you lash out. You're overwhelmed and don't know how to respond. We've been talking about that since he's been home," unquote. And with that, we welcome in Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy, how did Brown's years in Pittsburgh and other football stops get us to his current situation?
Well, Jay, there's a common theme with Antonio Brown. It dates back to his high school days. It's great player on the field, but he could flip a switch on. You know, the mood swings have always been an issue. You talk to ex-teammates at several stops, coaches. You know, at Central Michigan at one time, he trashed a coach's office and people didn't even really know why. And so teams always had to decide, do you want to deal with this or not? They usually did because he was a great player. Right. But, you know, in Pittsburgh, they decided to manage it and really protect him in a lot of ways without him even knowing, because, you know, they got all these calls about the off-field issues and when he wouldn't show up to work. And so, you know, they kept him in sort of this protective cocoon, limited confrontations, got him to the field. And so when he was traded and sort of out on his own, some of these things started to go unchecked.
Because get away from the football part so far. You got so many legal issues. How did we get there?
Well, it's one of those things where it's an accumulation over time, but really the last few years, several people point to his contract in 2017, the 4-year, $68 million deal. He got paid, and then some of the behavior started to get worse. So you have all these lawsuits. He at one time was employing 20-plus people. We're talking photographers, trainers, chefs, over a course of 5 or 6 years. And so some people he would pay, and some people he decided he didn't want to pay a fair wage depending on the mood. And so, you know, you had that. You had a very chaotic home life. You know, we did the research. Police reports say they were called 20 times out to his Pennsylvania house over really a 4-year span, 2014 to 2018. Now, sometimes it was minor stuff like, you know, fire alarms going off, but there were 3 domestic disturbances. There were just some random calls like him forgetting where his cars were. And so you combine all that with, of course, the sexual assault case, which we were told was at the 1-yard line as far as the settlement talks. So they were basically done, agreed to a huge number, around $2 million. And then Brown moved on from it at the last minute, decided he didn't want to pay it. And so that could have changed things for him.
Another quote by Antonio's father, he's starting to put some things together, see it from a different perspective that I think is very positive. All he wants is another chance to write his story and play the game he loves. What can we expect for Antonio's future on and off the field?
Well, I've spoken to his father several times over the last few months, and he and a lot of other people in AB's life hope that, you know, the therapy he's undergoing will really make a change for him. You know, he has tried, of course, the social media issues that he keeps putting on Twitter sort of combat that notion, but they have seen progress in his life. And speaking to Drew Rosenhaus's agent, he's convinced that this guy will have a job when the investigation concludes. Now, the season's about over. It's a lost season. Let's say he gets 6 games next year. Well, Drew tells me after that, at least 3 teams want to talk to him at length, have him in for a visit, figure out what's next. He says that, you know, AB for the most part has been a good NFL citizen, so he's hoping that gives him some street cred in the future.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.